Good morning, Japan. Tubo Cruise here with another cycling video here in Nagoya, Japan. It is bright and early today, leaving at 6 a.m. for the early morning commute. And today we're heading towards the inner city. So for anyone new to the channel, my name's Cruz. I live here in Nagoya, Japan. And actually we live on the outskirts of the city, me and my wife. And she's the one whose hands you see in the handlebars right now, so she's driving. And we live about a 30-minute ride from the subway to the center of the city and about a 45-minute ride by bicycle into the city if we get good timing with the lights. So today we're riding towards the center of the city, and oh man, there's some big bumps on this course, so that's one of the disadvantages of riding on the sidewalk. It is pretty safe because you're separated from the cars, and you can see some of the cars are flying by their morning commute, but with these sidewalks there is a little bit of a bump when you drop down onto the main road or when you get back on. But anyway, we're going to be riding all the way into the city today. Enjoy the nice, peaceful ride. And I thought I'd point out some of the interesting things along the way. So this is one of the videos that my wife filmed for her channel. She does a walking and cycling channel on her channel, but she doesn't talk or anything. And this was an interesting route, so I wanted to make an extra video with some commentary. I know you guys, some of you guys like when I talk and give my opinion on some of the things that you'll see here. So that's what we're going to be doing today, taking a look at her ride. And in her basket you'll notice she's got a blue towel there, so that's just to sort of protect all the different things that she's carrying and keep it protected in there. And also it is really hot right now. It's summer in Japan, so there's quite a bit of sweat involved on the cycling days, or even not cycling, just walking outside you'll start sweating. That's how hot and humid it is here. But anyway, you'll notice there's a lot more cool things in the city here that aren't as prevalent out on the outskirts where we live, and lots of overpasses like the one that we just passed there. So for pedestrians to get across the street safely, even though there is a crosswalk here, there still are a lot of places that will have those larger overpasses. And you'll also notice there is a little bit of garbage on the side of the streets here as well. So there were a lot of comments on Tuan's video when she first uploaded this. You'll see there's a whole bunch of just garbage here just lying on the side of the street. And yeah, there really aren't any garbage bins or anything like that. The way it works here is people will either late at night or early in the morning, they'll take their garbage outside in front of the street. And depending on how busy the place is, so this is obviously a more busy major street, the garbage is going to come and pick it up a little bit earlier, so it's not right in the public eye. And you see there are a couple of different little pop-up boxes like that places will use to put their garbage away. At the very least they'll have the nets, and the nets they're mainly for, I guess, protection. So there are some crows. There's actually quite a lot of crows in Japan, a pretty big crow problem, and they're pretty good at getting into the garbage, so the nets are partly there to block the crows from getting in there. And also it helps with other things like wind. It doesn't blow it away, it keeps it all organized and keeps it in the same place. So just waiting here at the intersection. Lots of buses going out for their morning route. And I believe this intersection, we're right by Nagoya Station, so if we were to turn left here, we would go all the way to Nagoya University, which is one of the bigger, more prestigious universities here in Nagoya. It's actually kind of funny, when you're cycling here in Japan, the speed doesn't change that much whether you're on a bike or whether you're in a car, just because there are so many traffic lights, and they're pretty much designed to stop you, so you can only go like a block or two. So even if you get passed by all these cars, they're going to get stuck at the next light, and if you're just going at a standard pace on the bike, if you get good timing, you don't get stuck at too many lights. And the timing on these lights usually doesn't change too often, so when we're riding this route pretty fairly regularly, we have a pretty good idea of the timing, when we need to ease up on the pedals and how we can time the lights better. And you'll see as we're getting in here more, you'll notice some other bike parking areas, especially once we're near an entrance to a subway station. So I just mentioned we just passed, I believe, Nagoya Station, so that's why there's the bike parking there. And all the bike parking in the city it generally costs money, so it'll be about 100 yen or $1 per day for 24 hours. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing. You can kind of find an alternative parking spot as long as it's not in the way and try and save some money. But there are limited options for doing that, and people do frown on it. There's a lot of smaller roads like this in this section too, so even though it's a red light and you can see there's no cars really coming across the street. A couple people do jaywalk here and cross, but this is an area where there are quite a few police, so I wouldn't recommend it. It's not really worth it. But yeah, you can tell some people, they look, they see if the police is there, and they'll make a go for it or not. So nobody likes red lights. Cyclists, walkers, drivers. I think that's something we can all agree on. And most of the businesses are still closed right now, so yeah, it's 6 a.m. Nothing's really open. The only places that are open right now are the transportation facilities or the convenience stores. So this is still quite early for most people on their commute. And I think, yeah, it'll get a little bit more busy once we get down into the city center, which is more populated, and it gets a little bit later as more people are getting out the door. Oh, we got some garbage spill here. So yeah, sometimes there aren't really too many animals in the city that you need to worry about. It's mostly birds and crows. Crows especially will go after the garbage. And yeah, usually it's animals' fault, or it could sometimes be like the shop's fault for like not throwing the garbage out properly or just being messy with things. But more often than not, they're pretty respectful about that, and they don't want to cause problems for their neighbors. So if you see like an issue with the garbage being all over the place, it's usually from some sort of animal, crows especially. And on this lane, this is one of the more major roads here in Nagoya. This is the Higashiyama Dori, or Higashiyama Road. And yeah, it's got 2 lanes. It supposedly has 2 lanes. One is for cycling, one is for walking. For the most part, people don't really follow that. There'll be walkers in both lanes, in both the cycling marked lane and in the walker marked lane. And same with cyclists. Some people will be cycling in the pedestrian lane just because it's usually wider. And it's weird how you classify cyclists in Japan, because a lot of people are riding bikes. Like mothers will ride bikes with their children. School kids will be riding bikes to go to school. And then people in business suits will be riding bikes to get to the station or something. And then there's like regular cyclists that are like going out for exercise. So yeah, it depends. Are you categorizing all those people as cyclists? I think most people that ride their bikes just for like a short commute wouldn't really classify themselves as like a cyclist. That's just something they need to do to get to the station or school or whatever. But yeah, usually the commute would be really short. Here we go. We're starting to go up a little bit of a hill, and you definitely feel these hills a lot more on these kinds of bikes. So this is a mamachari, by the way. For those who don't know, this is a Japanese city bike. It is quite heavy, and it's got a rack, it's got the front basket, it's got everything. So you definitely feel these hills a little bit more. But this is actually one of the hills where there's a pretty bad light timing up at the top. So even if you sprint up this hill on a road bike, you're going to get stuck at the next red light up here. So I think she'd make about the same time on this bike. Some more bike parking here. And you'll see some really cool sort of family bikes, which will have the kid's seat in the back, the kid's basket in the front. It's pretty amazing. Some Japanese mothers, they'll have, yeah, the kid on the back seat, the kid in the front seat, and then she might even have like a baby strapped to her chest. So she'll be carrying 3 kids and riding the bike. So yeah, here we go. All the cars up ahead are stuck at this light. And oh, there we go, putting some more garbage in there. And yeah, lots of different colors for those as well. Usually a red, a yellow, blue, green. And for these paid bicycle parking areas, this is another station, by the way, that's why there's the bicycle parking here as well. It's usually run by some sort of digital system, so you get a number on where you park your bike, and then it'll lock up automatically once you place the bike in there. It has some sort of sensor. And then afterwards you can pay by cash, but you can also pay by one of the IC card systems here. So they have a couple different IC card systems in Japan, and they're starting to get more universal, so you can use the same one pretty much all over the country now. It used to be a lot more regional. And yeah, it's really convenient if you have one of those. Technically though, you have to be careful is anyone can unlock the bike from there, so you want to make sure that you have your own lock as well. If you just place the bike in there and then it automatically locks, anyone could technically pay and unlock that bike, so make sure you also bring your own lock and lock up your bike somehow. Alright, here we go. You'll also notice there's quite a few phone booths on the side of the street, and Japanese mailboxes are always red like that. Oh man, these bumps are not looking comfortable, but actually when you go over these bumps it really changes depending on what type of bike you're riding. So if you're riding a road bike with smaller tires, you really feel those bumps and it is not comfortable. But this Mamachari bike, the tires are actually quite big, so it's like a huge shock absorber. So it looks pretty dramatic on these videos, but because the towel is flying and everything, but it's actually pretty smooth. And also on a mountain bike it's going to be really smooth. So yeah, even if you're doing city riding here, sometimes it's really nice to have the larger tires. And the Mamachari flies down hills. We got a little shopping mall here. Things are starting to get a lot more condensed as we cross this area. Another station here. What is this? This is Chikusa. So yeah, also this line is one of the main subway lines here in Nagoya. I think it's the busiest line, the main line from west to east, the Higashiyama line, which parallels the Higashiyama Road. So yeah, like I mentioned, people just walk in the cycling lane. They don't pay any mind to it. And yeah, this is a pretty popular area. Lots of izakaya bars, and there's also a nice McDonald's at that corner that I've stopped at many times on a night ride home, leaving the city and need a snack, a pit stop on the ride home. We're starting to get underneath some taller buildings now. Kokoichi on the left, that's a really popular Japanese curry restaurant. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see the streets like this, just completely empty with it really light out. It's also really nice to do some night rides here, and I really want to film some for you guys, but I've tried filming some and the quality is just not good. The video gets really shaky, so unfortunately I haven't been able to film any nice night rides for you guys yet. I think today she brought a frozen drink, so we put it in the freezer the last night so that way it would stay colder a little bit longer. It's just been ridiculously hot lately, but these morning rides are a little bit nicer just because it isn't as hot. The sun's just starting to come out. And you'll notice there are a couple other bikes that were sort of parked out overnight. Those will be tagged by the police and eventually will be picked up if no one comes to claim them. Usually it's just a warning for the first day or so, so technically you could get away with parking your bike almost anywhere and you just get some sort of warning at first and you can just remove the warning. But yeah, I don't recommend doing that. You always want to be careful when crossing these streets though, because some cars do make some sudden turns and some people will pop out by their bikes without really looking around the corner. So there has been a pretty big increase in bicycle accidents lately. And that guy has a cool style. He's got the umbrella tucked in. That's the other cool thing about these bikes is they're made to sort of like handle anything and carry a whole bunch of different stuff. So yeah, people will even have mounts for their umbrella onto the handlebars. And they'll use it in the rain or in the sun, so they'll be riding with the bike and the umbrella locked into the handlebars. It's a pretty funny sight. But yeah, lots of bikes are sort of abandoned or left on the side of the streets, unfortunately. People comment there, yeah, there's not much garbage here in Japan, but I guess in a way this sort of counts as garbage, just abandoned property. But yeah, it is drink time now. We've got some Pocari Sweat, one of the popular sports drinks here in Japan. Always important to stay hydrated on these summer days. All right, let's go. And yeah, in summer they call it, what is it? Cool biz. So you can, a lot of the Japanese people will be not wearing their full suits. They'll be going down to the short sleeves. That's fortunately become a more popular trend lately. Back in the old day, they were really strict about that and most people would still be wearing suits. But lately, summer business or cool business is becoming a bit more acceptable. And yeah, for me personally, I can't stand wearing long sleeve dress clothes in the summer. It just makes no sense to me. You're just torturing yourself. But yeah, some business places are really strict about that still. And this is another big intersection. There's a Don Quixote Japanese shop here. And that building up ahead is actually where we held one of our trade shows for BMC back when I was working there for the distribution company here in Japan. We held our trade show just straight ahead up in this building in one of the upper floors. So we did have a work event here. Yeah, they've got a whole bunch of different conference buildings in there. Some other tall buildings here and pachinko. And yeah, just you got to be careful with pedestrians just sort of walking all over. The other interesting thing you'll notice here is as we're getting to the more taller buildings, a lot of businesses are sort of stacked on top of each other. So you'll see some advertisements just, yeah, on top and top on top of each other like that. And yeah, they're all different businesses. So sometimes you'll find like a really unique restaurant that you didn't know existed that's just sort of crammed above on one of the upper floors there. And yeah, even some of these smaller intersections where there's really no traffic coming or anything can still take up a little bit of time waiting at these lights. We got a police car over there. Yeah, most of the police cars here in Japan are also very distinguishable. Like, they don't really go out of their way to conceal themselves. Like, there's a lot of undercover police cars in the US. I've not seen very many in Japan. They're a lot more rare, I would say. But here we go, we're continuing on. The other funny thing you'll see when you see people riding the momentary bikes here is sometimes their saddle position is really, really low. And yeah, just unfortunately, red light after red light, that's just how it is here in Japan when you're riding in the city. But there are a lot of cool, unique bars or izakaya here and some of the intersections here. And yeah, some of them have really interesting decorations on the outside. Here we go. Oh yeah, this place is called like Indians or something, and it's just they use some sort of like stereotypical Native American as their mascot, and it's it's borderline something that you really wouldn't be able to get away with in the US. But yeah, they do that stuff here. And oh yeah, we got quite a bit of garbage pile up over here. And today we're riding towards one of the main stations, the main city centers is Sakae. And yeah, it's a really beautiful area. It's where the Nagoya Tower is, and Oasis is. It's a really cool area. So I think you guys will enjoy seeing the differences from our area as we started and how it changes as we get towards the city center. A lot more bikes parked over here compared to the earlier parking that we've seen so far. And here we go, we're coming across some residential area, some big apartments. This is actually a gym off to the side here, the Fit House. I've never actually been there, but yeah, it looks pretty big building, pretty impressive looking. And yeah, lots of places under construction right now. When they do construction here, they cover everything up. They don't let anything spill over out into the public area, which is something that's really nice about that here compared to like construction sites that we've seen in Vietnam. They just throw everything everywhere. So we got another major road intersection here, and if we were to go to left here, we can actually go to one of the bigger parks here in Nagoya, the Tsurumai Park, or it's actually called Tsuruma Park. It's an interesting, you're supposed to read the kanji Tsurumai, but for some reason they named it Tsuruma. Everybody waiting for the green. Here we go. And yeah, so some Indian flags. Indian curry is also really popular here in Japan, but 90% of Indian curry places aren't owned by Indian people. It's usually owned by some people from smaller countries around India, a little bit more poor countries, for example like Nepal. I think it's pretty similar in America. Like most sushi restaurants aren't owned by actual Japanese people. It's usually owned by like Chinese or Korean people. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Every like Oriental kind of, or not Oriental, but every kind of foreign type of food specialty, you think it would be owned by someone of that nationality, but in most cases it tends not to be. Yeah, massive garbage pile-ups here. Another hour or so that should be all picked up. Bad timing with the light. And sometimes people just don't care. They know no one's coming, they know no one's looking, so they'll just walk across the street. I can't deny I'm not guilty of the same thing, but especially when we're filming these videos, we gotta make sure we're extra careful, obeying the law. And I'm surprised some of these convenience stores still have some of their garbage bins outside. Normally once you get more towards the city center, they'll not place them outside anymore because they don't want random people throwing away their garbage. So they'll normally bring those inside as you get more inside the city. And here off to the side is Yamachan. It's a really popular, one of the probably most famous restaurants here in Nagoya. And there we go, we just passed a garbage truck making their rounds. But anyway, yeah, Yamachan is actually the restaurant where my wife and I had our first date. We didn't have it at this branch. They have branches all over Nagoya. But yeah, really good chicken wings. They're called tebasaki. And it's a special kind of Japanese seasoning using soy sauce. So pretty different than the wings that you'd get in the US. This area off to the left here is actually a concert hall area, so there's some live performances for smaller musicians over there. Sometimes when you pass by here, it'll be right before an event, and yeah, there's just a bunch of people waiting outside, waiting to get inside. There's actually a pretty good music scene, I would say, in Nagoya. Oh, watch out. Let that guy go. Yeah, there's quite a few good music venues here, and a lot of different concerts going on, or at least there were before. Maybe a little bit less now. Another big intersection crossing here. And right now we're actually crossing into another area here, which is Shin-Sakae. And that's right before Sakae, which is where we're heading towards today. And there's quite a few restaurants here that I've been really wanting to check out. There's a lot of famous restaurants here. For example, off to the side here, we've got Uno, which is a taco restaurant. And I've been wanting to try their tacos forever, but I've never really gone out of my way to go over there and try their tacos. But yeah, there's a lot of restaurants over here that I really want to try out. And yeah, you can hear the semi-bugs. Maybe these were buzzing a little bit earlier, the cicadas, but I'm really hearing them now. So yeah, even in the center of the city, you get those cicada bugs, and they're quite loud. Doesn't matter if you're in the city, you're in the countryside, they're gonna be making some sound. Got a red light here, and yeah, just some people don't care. Especially if the cars are still going, some people will still push their luck by bike and just cross the intersection. So there we go, we got a he checked before he crossed at least. But yeah, most people, especially in the morning commute, they know the routine, they know what they can get away with, and they're just gonna run the lights. But yeah, it'd be tough commuting in the summer with the full suit wear. I would not be happy in that situation. Luckily, with my old job back when I was commuting every day, I was able to commute in cycling clothes, and I just changed when I got to work. And when I changed at work, I was able to wear shorts and a t-shirt in the summer. So no problems for me, fortunately. But yeah, I know most people in the professional work environments don't have it that good. And another big intersection here. This is a Denny's, a Japanese Denny's built into the corner here, right above a drugstore. And yeah, don't expect to be able to order anything similar to the Denny's back in America. It is a completely different store here. And yeah, I really miss regular Denny's food, the menu back home in the US, but completely different here. And the streets here in between Shin-Sakae and Sakae are actually really nice. There's a lot of more upscale kind of stores. Starbucks, if that counts as an upscale kind of store. But yeah, it's a more touristy area, so there's lots of different options, lots of different foreign shops as well. And as we get into Sakae, it gets into a much more expensive area. So it's the area where everything is that you're going to need. It's where for example, the Apple store is. It's that kind of place. Lots of high-end jewelry kind of stores. It's honestly not a place I go very often because I don't do that kind of shopping, but it is cool to cycle through, and you do gotta pass through it when you're heading towards Nagoya Station. So sometimes we've done a couple of rides all the way to Nagoya Station where we'd go over there and then take the Shinkansen somewhere for a cycling trip, or we'd be coming back from a cycling trip by Shinkansen. We'd ride somewhere by bike, we'd put our bikes on the train, come back by train, and then we'd cycle back home. But yeah, lots of bars here as well. It's quite an interesting area at night. Maybe at the very least, if we're not able to film any cycling videos at night here, we could film some walking videos. The walking video should be a little bit better. It shouldn't get too shaky, and should still be some decent quality, hopefully. So maybe we can try that. We've been avoiding this area for the most part, honestly, the last few months, sadly because of the pandemic. Oh, geez, watch out for that guy swinging his backpack. So we don't want to come here too often if we can help it. We still want to be safe and not put ourselves in any dangerous situation if we can avoid it. But here we are. We've just arrived at Sakae, and this is the main road area. So it's called the Central Park, and this area right in front of us is just this long stretch of park area. So you can see all these trees off to the side, and in the other direction, that's where Nagoya Tower is. Oh, we got an advertisement for the baseball team, the Nagoya Dragons. Chunichi. But yeah, the parallel street off to the side there to the left just goes all the way for quite a bit. And there's some trees over there, and that's where the Nagoya Tower is. So I think that's where she's going to take us. And this is where there's a whole bunch of free bike parking, so you can park your bike here. Good luck. You got to try and find a... For me, I don't have a kickstand, so I gotta lock it up around one of the trees or one of the poles. But yeah, it's a really beautiful park area off to the side and some walking trails. They've been doing construction on it lately. But this is Nagoya TV Tower, and off to the right is the Nagoya Oasis 21. So this is Sakae Station. And yeah, really cool area. Underneath there's a whole bunch of different shopping areas, some restaurants. There's a Shonen Jump store. There's some Ghibli stores, and you can get some really cool stuff here. My wife has also filmed some walking videos here, so if you want a more in-depth tour of everything around this area, I'll link her walking video here. You can check it out. This is one of my favorite areas here in Nagoya, and whenever a friend comes to visit, we always take them here. You can walk up to the top of that dome thing, and there's actually a fountain area with water, and it's really beautiful at night. Everything gets lit up. So yeah, this is a really nice area. And there's even more park areas behind the tower. It's been under construction for the last year, but before it was really nice, and it's been under construction for a while now, so I'm expecting it to get even nicer. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how they change all that stuff. But let's hop over here really quick so we can get a closer look at some of the stuff over here. There's also a Ferris wheel up ahead. Every major Japanese city will have a Ferris wheel in the city somewhere. It's just a popular attraction. But that building, there's a lot of stuff over there as well. Some karaoke and yeah, just a whole bunch of different shopping centers. And there's also like an idol group that does performances over there. It's not something I do, but yeah, it's popular for that reason. And here we are, we're getting into the higher end department store area. I think we just passed the Louis Vuitton shop. But even so, you can still find some nice cheap restaurants around here. The other cool store here is Don Quijote. So there's a really big Don Quijote, and that's just like the superstore of Japan. They just got a whole bunch of crazy fun, interesting items. It's a really fun store to explore around if you got some time. But anyway, that's the end of our bike tour for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you're interested in seeing some more cycling videos here in Japan, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining, guys, and see you next time here on Tubo Cruise.